On a warm June morning in 1914, the city of Sarajevo was bustling with anticipation. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was visiting with his wife, Sophie. The streets were lined with people, some excited, others tense. The political climate in Europe was already volatile, with alliances and rivalries simmering beneath the surface. Few could have predicted that this day would become one of the most pivotal in modern history. As the royal couple made their way through the city, a series of events was about to unfold that would change the world forever. Before the assassination, Europe was a continent on edge. Major powers like Germany, Russia, France, and Britain were bound by a complex web of alliances and treaties. These agreements were meant to maintain peace, but instead created a situation where a conflict between two countries could quickly involve many more. Nationalism was rising, and empires were competing for influence and territory. This tense environment meant that any spark could ignite a much larger conflict, setting the stage for disaster. A secret Serbian nationalist group called the Black Hand had been planning to strike a blow against Austro-Hungarian rule. Their goal was to assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand during his visit to Sarajevo. The group recruited several young men, arming them with pistols, bombs, and cyanide capsules. They were determined to make a statement, but their plan was risky and depended on perfect timing. As the day began, the conspirators took their positions along the Archduke's motorcade route. The Archduke and his wife traveled in an open-top car, making them easy targets. The motorcade moved slowly through the crowded streets, passing by the first would-be assassin. The tension was palpable as the conspirators waited for their moment. The couple was unaware of the danger lurking nearby, waving to the crowds and enjoying what seemed like a routine public appearance. But the calm was about to be shattered. As the motorcade passed, one of the conspirators, Nedeljko Kabrinovic, hurled a hand grenade at the Archduke's car. However, his aim was off. The grenade bounced off the folded-down convertible roof and exploded under the next car, injuring several people but missing the intended target. Kabrinovic tried to escape, swallowing his cyanide capsule and jumping into the river, but he survived and was quickly captured. The failed attempt only heightened the sense of chaos and danger. After the failed assassination attempt, the Archduke insisted on continuing his visit. He decided to change his plans and visit the wounded at the hospital. The new route was not communicated clearly to all drivers, leading to confusion. This miscommunication would prove to be a critical mistake, setting the stage for the next fateful encounter. One of the conspirators, Gavrilo Princip, had given up hope after the failed attack and was standing near a cafe. By sheer coincidence, the Archduke's car took a wrong turn and stopped right in front of him. Seizing the unexpected opportunity, Princip stepped forward, drew his pistol, and fired 2 shots at close range, fatally wounding both Franz Ferdinand and Sophie. The world would never be the same. Panic erupted in the streets as news of the assassination spread. Authorities quickly apprehended Princip, but the damage was done. The deaths of the Archduke and his wife sent shockwaves through Austria-Hungary and across Europe. Within hours, the political consequences began to unfold as leaders scrambled to respond to the crisis. The Austro-Hungarian government was outraged and saw the assassination as a direct attack by Serbia. Demands for justice were immediate, and officials began drafting an ultimatum to Serbia. The government's response was shaped by anger, grief, and a desire to assert its power. The wheels of war had begun to turn, even as diplomats hoped to avoid a larger conflict. Austria-Hungary's ultimatum to Serbia set off a chain reaction. Serbia, backed by Russia, hesitated to accept all the demands. Austria-Hungary, with Germany's support, was unwilling to compromise. Within days, alliances were activated, and countries began mobilizing their armies. What began as a local crisis was quickly escalating into a continental emergency. Russia, seeing itself as the protector of Slavic nations, began to mobilize its forces in support of Serbia. This move alarmed Germany, which saw Russian mobilization as a direct threat. The delicate balance of power was unraveling, and the possibility of a wider war became more likely with every passing hour. Germany offered Austria-Hungary a so-called blank check of unconditional support. This emboldened Austria-Hungary to take a hard line against Serbia. Germany's commitment was a crucial factor in the escalation, as it signaled that any conflict would not remain localized. The stage was set for a much larger confrontation. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Artillery shells began to fall, and the first shots of what would become World War I were fired. The declaration set off a rapid series of mobilizations and declarations of war across Europe, as alliances were triggered and nations prepared for battle. Germany, anticipating a two-front war against France and Russia, activated the Schlieffen Plan. This military strategy called for a rapid invasion of France through Belgium, hoping to quickly defeat the French before turning east to face Russia. The plan's execution would soon draw even more countries into the conflict. Britain had pledged to defend Belgian neutrality. When Germany invaded Belgium, Britain declared war on Germany. The conflict had now become a truly global war, with the world's major powers drawn in by a combination of treaties, obligations, and national interests. News of the war spread rapidly. In capitals across the globe, governments and citizens reacted with a mix of fear, patriotism, and uncertainty. Many believed the war would be short, but few understood the scale of the devastation that was about to unfold. The assassination in Sarajevo had set off a chain reaction that no one could stop. As countries mobilized for war, governments launched massive propaganda campaigns to rally public support. Posters, newspapers, and speeches urged citizens to enlist and support the war effort. Nationalism surged, and millions of young men volunteered, unaware of the horrors that awaited them on the battlefield. The opening battles of World War I were brutal and chaotic. Soldiers faced new and terrifying weapons, including machine guns, artillery, and poison gas. The reality of modern warfare quickly shattered any illusions of glory. The war's true cost was becoming clear, even in its earliest days. As the front lines stabilized, both sides dug extensive trench systems. Life in the trenches was harsh, with soldiers enduring mud, rats, and constant danger. The war became a deadly stalemate, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. The assassination in Sarajevo had led to a conflict unlike any the world had seen before. World War I quickly spread beyond Europe. Colonies and territories around the world were drawn into the conflict, supplying troops and resources. The war's impact was felt on every continent, reshaping economies, societies, and international relations. The assassination had truly set the world on fire. The human cost of World War I was staggering. Millions of soldiers and civilians lost their lives, and countless more were wounded or displaced. The war left deep scars on families, communities, and entire nations. The assassination that started it all now seemed like a distant memory compared to the scale of the tragedy. World War I led to the collapse of several empires, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, and German empires. New countries emerged from the ruins, and old borders were redrawn. The political landscape of Europe and the world was forever changed by the events that began in Sarajevo. After years of fighting, the war ended with the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. The treaty imposed harsh terms on Germany and redrew the map of Europe. While it officially ended the war, it also sowed the seeds for future conflicts. The assassination in Sarajevo had set in motion events that would shape the 20th century. Today, Sarajevo is remembered as the place where World War I began. Memorials and museums commemorate the events of June 28, 1914. The city stands as a reminder of how a single act of violence can have far-reaching consequences, changing the course of history for generations. The assassination that sparked World War I teaches us about the dangers of nationalism, alliances, and miscommunication. It shows how quickly events can spiral out of control and how the actions of a few individuals can alter the fate of millions. Understanding this history helps us recognize the importance of diplomacy and peace. The events of June 1914 didn't just change Europe, they changed the world. The war led to technological advances, social upheaval, and a new world order. The assassination's ripple effects are still felt today, reminding us that history is shaped by both chance and choice. Looking back, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand stands as a moment when history pivoted. The choices made in those critical minutes and hours had consequences that echoed for decades. It's a powerful reminder of how fragile peace can be and how quickly it can be lost. It's striking how much of history can turn on accidents and coincidences. If the Archduke's driver hadn't taken a wrong turn, or if the first assassination attempt had succeeded, the world might look very different today. The story of Sarajevo is a testament to the unpredictable nature of history. The legacy of World War I is still with us. The conflict reshaped nations, inspired movements for independence, and set the stage for World War II. The assassination that started it all remains a powerful symbol of how a single event can change the course of history. As we reflect on the assassination that accidentally started World War I, we're reminded of the importance of understanding history. By studying the events, decisions, and mistakes of the past, we can strive to build a more peaceful and stable future. The story of Sarajevo is not just a lesson in tragedy, but also a call to remember the value of peace.